It's been a long time in isolation, and while I think I've coped with it good enough, I think now I'm starting to go a small bit stir crazy. My day started today and I really had an itch to use the camera, so I decided to go out into the garden, place the camera up on the wall and used my remote trigger to see if I can get some photographs. So I put down some bread and waited for the birds to come, and I didn't have to wait that long until the big birds came in, which was actually when I got this shot here. So I said, okay, let's go take some photographs. And it kind of got me thinking and said, what could I photograph at home? What could I find interesting? Could I actually make a shot from my back garden? Or was I actually just completely going stir crazy? I wanted to use the camera, so I said, okay, I'll give it a go. Found a couple of interesting things, and maybe I found something nice actually in amongst all those images that I got today, but who knows. But at least I got to use my camera. I used to got to play around with the different settings in different light actually that I normally would, and I had to experiment a lot in regards to taking the photographs today, and I think even on the editing as well I came up with some slightly different images. So yeah, hopefully you're managing in isolation. We haven't got that far to go. We've got to go back out again and get some photographs, but this is what I did anyway to keep me from going stir crazy. We're still in lockdown, and I'm kind of going a bit stir crazy. Kind of kept myself busy for the last number of weeks, but we're almost out of it now, and I can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm getting a small bit antsy, and I wanted to keep using my camera even though I couldn't get out into the landscape during all of this. So in my back garden here, I've been playing with my camera and my long lens on most of the occasions, and I'd like to try and play around today and see what I can get. I want to be able to use the long lens, but kind of use it differently. It's not a macro lens, but at the f4 I want to be able to get a nice shallow depth of field, and I want to try and photograph a couple of things around the garden. Our subjects of choice today are limited to daisies, buttercups and dandelions. So let's see how I can get on with the ground here in front of me, and we'll see when I get a nice shot. Down pretty close to the ground at the moment, and as you can see, I'm trying to get a ground level shot really in regards to my subject, and I had to clear everything out of the way so that there was no distractions in the field of view from the camera. Using the 70-200, I'm zoomed all the way in at 200, and I've got the focus set to 1.3 meters, so I'm within the range from the lens also. The settings at the moment are f4 because I want to get a nice fall off in the background. I just want to be able to have the dandelion in focus, but there's also a couple of other flowers that are close to it as well, so I'll try and get those in focus also. And the shutter speed, I'm going very quick. I'm at 1,600 of a second. It's during the day here, and clear skies actually behind me. Not ideal obviously to take shots, but like I said, I'm going a small bit stir crazy, so I wanted to give it a go. But I'm going to try and get this one anyway here, which should be nice, and if I can get that standing out on its own, it should be a different shot, but maybe nice in the end. I've come all of 2 meters from the last photograph, and there's a bank of daisies on the ground. I don't know if it's going to be a nice photograph or not. Can't get a nice clean shot because the light that's behind me is casting a shadow, so I'm going to go above it and take a shot down, and I'll also try and get one as well on the ground like I've done over here. Difference now though is that I'm not going to be at f4, I'm going to be at f11 because I want to have as much depth of focus in the shot so I can get as many of the tops of the daisies in focus. But yeah, we'll see how this one anyway turns out next. Next on the list is some buttercups, and we've got a bunch of the buttercups here. I'm going to try the same thing again, maybe try and isolate out one if I can, try and get as many if I can in the bunch, and maybe also, and I might also try and get one top down as well, but kind of slim pickings here, to be honest with you. But at the top of my garden here, I'll have a look as well. Maybe I'll get something up there, and maybe I'll also get some wildlife, because there are some birds around the garden, and also I've seen some, I think they're wasps. They're not bees anyway, but try and get a photograph actually of them with the long lens at 200mm at f4. It'll be a challenge to get that in focus, and I want to try and get one as well in flight, believe it or not, but we'll see how that will go. We'll play around with it. We'll get this one anyway here, see what this one turns out, and we'll move on to the next one. I think everybody has part of their garden that they kind of forget about. For me, it's at the top of the garden here, it's by my shed. But what I find behind me here against the nice dark wall actually there is another dandelion, but just in flower. And it's going to give a nice simplistic shot, I think, quite minimalistic. Challenging actually to get it in focus, because I'm shooting obviously handheld. I could get my tripod, haven't got that far to go to get it, but want to try and do it here handheld. So the settings that I've had to play with there are 1/4000 of a second, and I'm at f4 and my ISO is at 500, and I rarely shoot at that speed. I think this is actually the maximum speed that the 6D Mark I can achieve, but I'm doing that because it's quite bright on the dandelion, but also I'm handheld, so I want to be able to get a photograph as quick a shutter speed as I can to kind of darken it down so I don't get the white blown out in the highlights, and I also have the ISO then just slightly up as well so I can compensate against that. But yeah, it's quite an interesting experiment actually to do. Maybe I'm going slightly mad doing this, probably am actually, to be fair, because I am missing the landscape so much. But yeah, I'm going to play around now again, see what else I can find. I've got a tree here, it's a set of 3 palm trees. Maybe that might give me a shot, I don't know. We'll have a look and we'll see. I'm over here now at my palm tree, and I took a couple of different types of photographs. One I took of the bark because I liked how the background fell off in bokeh. Took another shot as well looking straight up with the sun, and hopefully it kind of gives a Mediterranean feel, even though we're not in the Mediterranean, we're in Ireland, but could be anywhere with the blue skies that we have at the moment. The leaves as well with the bark, so I put the camera directly on the trunk of the tree, looking it straight up, shooting up into the canopy of the trees. That should be a nice shot as well. And I do think, you know, again, in the back garden, maybe I'll get a nice shot, maybe I won't, but you know what, I'm using my camera, trying to think outside the box and trying to shoot in different conditions that I wouldn't normally shoot. So if anything, if I make a mistake, at least I can learn from it. Now coming down to the side of the tree that's facing the sun, it's quite hard to shoot, but I got an idea for something, and I've seen a few photographs over the years. I've tried it myself actually on the rare occasion, which is a thing called ICM, which is in-camera movement or intentional camera movement. And what I want to do is take a similar photograph actually that I took up when I was above in the top area of the leaves of the tree. They'll come back up from the base of the image, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to play around. I'm going to
twist the camera as I take a photograph. I'm going to lift the camera up and down as I take a photograph, and enable me to do that, I'm going to go for a slightly longer shutter speed. Now that again is hard because we are in full daylight sun, so I've actually put the camera on, this lens can go up as far as f32, so I put that to get the smallest aperture to allow me to be able to get the longest possible exposure before the image will be blown out. But it'll definitely kind of give a dreamy artistic look to the image, and yeah, something different once again. Final thing that I want to try and do now is, like I said earlier on, to try and catch one of those wasps in motion or in movement. So I'm going to continue to use 70-200, going to be at 200, going to be at f4, and I'm going to try and get the focus on this wasp as it's flying in front of me. They do seem to be hovering as well, so I might get lucky. I'm going to shoot it with this wall behind me here, so the dark fence is going to be lovely from a contrast point of view. The light coming down the top as well hopefully will light up the top of the wasp. Most importantly, the hardest part will be to get it in focus. It's going to be an extremely fast shutter speed, probably up around about 1/2000 to the second once again, but we'll see how I get on with that anyway. Something definitely different. Challenge myself again, as always, trying to use the camera. Hopefully I've come up with some good shots, and hopefully you've enjoyed coming along in this back garden adventure for the unorthodox episode of my landscape photography vlog. So please leave me a like, leave me a comment below what you thought of the episode. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I would really appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button, and until the next time, slán go fóill.
I have to admit, I really did enjoy playing in the back garden today. I pushed myself to take photographs in different conditions and varying shutter speeds that I'd normally never take in landscape. Plus, also getting out of ISO 100 was an eye-opener for me to be able to get to different shots. What are you doing during lockdown? How are you keeping yourself entertained? Have you gone stir crazy? Let me know in the comments. Thanks very much. Slán go fóill.